And hi, and welcome to another episode of Late TV Fights. We've got past the first round, now we're into the semis. So, and we've got a really great match. We've got Matt Kearns versus Cody Newberry, a take-free civil war, so to speak. So it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, but it'll got a great panel of judges. So I'll go to them first. We've got James White here as a judge. James, how's it going?
Oh man, Malcolm, I'm having a great night. This is going to be a lot of fun. Cody and Kearns. I'm excited to see this match a lot. This is going to be a slobber knocker, as the good old JR used to say. I have a feeling that this is going to go down to the last speed round question, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and also here's a judge is Doug. Doug, how's it going?
Good. I thought I was here for the Brady Bunch reunion, but I guess I'm not. I guess I'm here to judge some TV talk and find out what's going on in the world of the small screen.
So, now we've met the judges, let's meet the competitors. Introducing first, we've got Cody. Cody, how are you feeling about this match?
Long-time fan, second-time caller. Excited to be here. I've played Matt Kearns numerous times on the late night. We've debated about God knows what and about whatever stupid topic we come up with. And is this a good movie? Is this not? So this should be a fun battle. The questions are pretty even, I'd say, across the board. So we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, if Matt beats me, then it's rigged, it's screwed up, and Matt, you need to eliminate this from the record books, like we talked about. But other than that, yeah, it's fun to be here, and I'm excited. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
And also, introducing next is Matt. Matt, how are you feeling about this match?
I'm feeling good. Cody is someone who I've known for a while. As he said, we've had heated arguments about fake movies and TV before, so this is just normal at this point. So it's gonna be interesting. The questions, as he said, they're pretty even. So yeah, if I lose,
Going on right now.
great. I don't I as you guys know, the watchers, you rarely see me because I'm not involved like most of you. So I'll go back to I was playing Super Star Wars before this. If I lose tonight, probably go back to doing that. So there's that. How's that for a promo to cut?
But anyway, how these matches work is we've got 4 main round questions and we've got 1 speed round question if we need it. And the rounds go each round it goes like they get an opening of 90 seconds, 5-minute freeform debate, and then 1-minute closings. So, and if they've got a 1-minute extension that they can use on either their opening or their closing if they feel like they need to talk more. But we're going to kick it off with the first question, which is, what is the best comedy show of the 90s? And I'm going to start with Matt on this. Matt, your 90 seconds start when you begin talking.
The 1990s was full of tons of great TV comedies, but the one that I pick as the definitive best is Boy Meets World. I think through this show's 7-season run, the comedy was always strong, but the great thing about what makes it the best is that it evolved. The comedy in season 1, when the characters of Sean, Topanga, and Cody, when they were young, is not Corey, I'm sorry, Cody. It's not like in season 7 when they're adults in college. It evolves, just like great comedy should, just like great comedians. Robin Williams' stand-up that he did in 1975 is not the same comedy he was doing in 2003, because comedy needs to evolve, it needs to get smarter, and that's exactly what Boy Meets World did, and it was always consistently funny with a great ensemble cast.
we're going to go to Cody for his opening. And you got 9 seconds on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
Well, so this question, there's a lot of great comedies from the 90s, and I went with one that really encapsulates the 90s to a perfect T, and that would be in West Philadelphia, Born and Raised. You know, he spent most of his time on a playground, but then he went to Bel Air, and it became fantastic. This show is basically the through line of great comedy, and it stays true to comedy throughout the entire series. It has some heart in it, which is not a bad thing on any of them, but that's what I want it to truly be about, and it's about the comedy. And I think Fresh Prince does that better with Will Smith, with Carlton. I think those characters are just still test of time. They went through so many different episode types and broke ground before a lot of other ones were doing it. So Fresh Prince is clearly the best comedy of the 90s.
Oh, we've got the Fresh Prince versus Boy Meets World. It's going to be an interesting battle. 5 minutes is on the clock. Time begins when someone starts talking.
I guess I will. You didn't pick the best comedy. You picked the best dramedy. The Boy Meets World is fucking depressing and sad. I will put it out there right now. I love Boy Meets World, but this show goes through so many depressing, hard times. There's literally season 6 where they're not an item because she's so afraid to fall in love with Corey because of divorce. Freaking Sean's dad dies. He deals with abandonment issues throughout the entire series. And you're saying comedy evolves? Yes, it turns into a rich comedy through and through to complete slapstick stupidity near the end. Like, they bring wrestlers in at the end. Eric jumps out of paintings. He comes back and plays with squirrels. They lose all the comedic elements of the first couple, 5 seasons of Brilliant, and throw them all down the drain because, oh, this is funny. Adam Sandler sounds like this, so I'm going to make Eric sound like this. Eric wasn't a stupid character.
I think that what you're saying about Boy Meets World, very similar to Fresh Prince. Fresh Prince also gets very depressing. You're going to tell me that the episode with Will's father is not depressing?
Oh.
You're going to say that's not, you're going to say the episode that when Carlton gets called sellout is not depressing? The problem with Fresh Prince of Bel Air is that the comedy never changed. It was always very static. Do you guys want to hear every episode of Fresh Prince of Bel Air? Here it is. Will's hitting on a young girl. It goes bad. Will and Carlton have a get-rich scheme. It goes bad. Someone dances, usually Carlton. There's a fat joke made at Uncle Phil's expense. Jazz gets tossed out a door, and Joffrey makes a comment that should probably get him fired. That's every episode of Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Right there. Comedy doesn't change at all. That's the thing about Boy Meets World, is it changes. The comedy that they did when they were kids, it's not the same as when they're in college.
But you're saying it evolves, but it ruins the comedy elements. And you're saying, you want to break down your episode? Something depressing happens, and then everything moves on. There's no change in it, and your changes for the worse. Your changes for the worse. It doesn't evolve the comedy. It makes them more slapstick. And the best thing about Boy Meets World is not the comedic elements of the show. It's actually the drama moments, the heartbreaking, it didn't end on a laugh. It didn't end on an emotional. And you point out episodes, I'm pointing out season arcs on yours. Your season arcs are drama. Like when Turner gets in a bike accident and ruins his life.
It's a TV show. There should be arcs.
Then pick a drama, not
we're talking about the comedy. We're talking about what makes it the best comedy. And the fact of the matter is like, yes, it is. Fresh Prince of Bel Air has just as many depressing moments. The first episode literally ends with Uncle Phil having a discussion about Will, about how he got to where he is in Bel Air, and why it's so important that Will is there. The entire show
you can teach life lessons.
Kids. That's exactly what Boy Meets World does. But he does it with comedy. You can say it's dramatic, but it's real life. It's finding the comedy amongst very sad and depressive things, but the comedy is still funny. The problem with Fresh Prince of Bel Air is by the end of the show, the comedy was so everyone knew. The minute that Will and Carlton was like, hey, I wonder if we're going to get rich off of this. Everyone was like, well, they're not going to get rich off of this. Like, hey, that's funny. Yeah. Hey, is Jazz going to get tossed out the door again? I guess
what?
So.
But guess what? It carried enough people all the way to the end and enjoyed it. Yours threw off and even left the channel to go to a different channel because of the comedy
That
elements. They brought it back.
happens all the time in television.
Regardless. But
all the time.
My viewpoint is you're picking the best comedy. You picked a drama with comedic elements. Just because a funny movie, just because a drama movie makes you laugh at times does not make it a comedy. And the problem is yours loses the comedy elements throughout the entire thing. They take Eric, a fantastic character. They take Eric, a fantastic character with actual heart, and you want to like him, and they throw him down the drain to make him a complete idiot. He literally stands on his chair and goes, "Everybody want to see my haircut?" and takes it off and goes, "What if it goes back?" I go,
that's funny. They changed his character because they thought that there were more comedic elements, so they did that. You can disagree that you don't like it, but comedy is subjective there.
Your thing is that it involves the comedy.
People, you can still go out to people, they'll go, "Feeny," and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. With Fresh Prince, all you got is like, you got the theme song, which I'll give you. It's great, but like, Feeny. Eric Matthews is a
one line.
character.
Congratulations. No. You have one line, and I have the theme song. So we're pretty much even. Cool. Awesome.
Eric Matthews is a great comedic character that they changed to make it funnier. I'm sorry.
No. There's literally an entire scene that they go to Hawaii, and he becomes a coconut head. And like, oh, that's just hilarious. Dude, changes that's the
hilarious.
Beautiful.
That honeymoon episode is hilarious. When he
and time. There was definitely a hard-fought battle there, but it's not over yet. You've got 1 minute on the clock for your closings, and because Matt went first on the opening, Cody, you can go first on the closing. So 1 minute on the clock. It begins when you start talking.
Fresh Prince does tackle hard issues, but doesn't lose what it is throughout the entire show. It's a comedic show with comedic elements throughout it. Yes, do they come formulaic? Yes, but so does Boy Meets World throughout the entire thing. The problem with Matt's choice is he picked a drama instead of a comedy. And that's the beautiful thing about Boy Meets World. The beauty of Boy Meets World is the emotional elements. When Sean loses his dad and he has to cope with it is a beautiful moment. There's not a comedic element in there. And then when they go from the heart of the show all the way to the depression of season 7 of the slapstick of season 7, and that ruins everything of the characters you built up. Like, they change those characters. They don't care about the arcs that they set up because they were going into the last season. They didn't know how to finish it. Fresh Prince has this beautiful character set up from beginning to end, and a complex story of a guy moving in with his family and having to adjust to upscale living that he doesn't know, and it's actually hilarious throughout.
Time. All right, Matt, you got 1 minute on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
Pretty much everything that you're saying about Boy Meets World happens in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You have arcs, and they don't really go anywhere. They lean more into drama in the later seasons and not really comedy. But the thing that Boy Meets World has over Fresh Prince is that the comedy evolves. You could say you don't like the comedy in later seasons, but they at least tried something new. I would rather have the writers do what they did in Boy Meets World, which is try something new. Give us great comedic episodes like And Then We're with Sean, which is one of the greatest parodies of the teen slasher genre wrote, rather than just have the same episodes when we get the setups of Fresh Prince where it's like, I know how this is going to end. Boy Meets World takes a look at real life drama and shows you the true, genuine comedy that can come out there. I think that's why the show has endured for all these years and why it's going to keep. And I think Fresh Prince is great as well, but I just don't think it's the best comedy of the 90s.
Whew. There was a really tough battle there, and came down to the wire. I still torn on this, so I'm going to go to Doug first. Doug, who's getting the point? Who do you think should get the point?
Yay! I get to go first for this. Well, you both at least didn't pick Friends, because that would have instantly been me hating both of you. No, you picked two amazing series. Cody hitting it that, hitting Boy Meets World on depressing and sad, losing comedy standards, and the best moments were dramatic moments, not comedy moments. But Matt also coming back and hitting on the same note of there was depressing and sad moments in Fresh Prince. The comedy became stagnant. Nobody remembers any comedic moment. Also, can I point out that can we please have Cody just do Fine, Fine several times on repeat, and we'll just play it through take 3 stuff because it was perfect. Coming down to points, though, I know I gotta make a decision. I do feel Cody hit a little bit harder on why Boy Meets World wasn't a full comedy, why its best moments were drama. I was trying to wait to hear Matt combat that main point, and I just didn't hear too much of it. I heard him attack kind of Fresh Prince for the same thing, but Cody kind of combated that a little bit, where it was a pure comedy, but it had few drama moments that drove the show. So Cody does get the point for this round for me.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to James. James, who should get the point and why?
Yeah, this was a really well fought round 1, and I think I'm leaning more towards Kearns in this match. And given the 2 answers, I didn't expect to, but Matt was really able to kind of hit Cody on a couple different spots that I don't think Cody was able to kind of fight back from. Where he said the best part of the Fresh Prince was the theme song, and not the comedy that came, in the episodes. And I don't think Cody really rebutted that very well. And Matt was really able to talk about how Boy Meets World is able to evolve over the seasons, and it's a very consistent show. Cody hit him a couple points talking about how it's got some depressing moments, but he was able to fight back and talk about that episode with Will's dad, and I thought that was a really good rebuttal from Matt. So I'm going to give him the point for this round. I got my point with Matt.
So that leaves me to be the tiebreaker. Yeah, this was definitely tough because there's definitely good points on both sides. And I'm probably leaning just ever so slightly towards Cody on this. I think Cody's points that he gave to Kearns not being a full comedy and like being partly drama as well. I think Kearns didn't quite combat that enough. But I mean, he did do an attempt to combat it by tagging Fresh Prince for doing that too, but it wasn't enough. But so Cody does get this first point in this, but it was a hell of a fought battle. So it's not like either one should be too upset. So we're going into the second question, and the second question is one that I thought was a very fun one just to throw in. If you could take a character from one TV show and place them into another show, what switch would you do? And I'm going to start with Cody on this, and you've got 90 seconds on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
This question sucks, but I answered it, and I had fun with it. And I am going with Ray Barone from Everybody Loves Raymond. And I'm throwing him into the Big Bang Theory. Ray Barone is one of those classic characters that doesn't understand technology at all. And for a bunch of geeks to know it so well, for him to complain about it, and like to be a neighbor in the building that Sheldon has to interact with, I don't like the Big Bang Theory. I think the show is very not great. But I think this would be a comedic element that I could get behind because when Matt describes his, we picked very similar characters, kind of in different shows. But this one would be funny because he just wouldn't get it. You could play; they could invite him over. He'd be very weirded out. So I think Ray Barone would be a perfect character to introduce to the Big Bang Theory because of what could ensue from it. I'm conceding.
Yeah. All right. And now, Matt, you've got 9 seconds for your opening. Time begins when you start talking.
So when I read this question, I thought how this should happen is the character should organically fit into the show, but make it better funnier. So what I chose to do was I took Red Foreman from That 70s Show, and I'm putting it into Full House. He's going in the Tanner household, and what's going to be funny about this is Red's not going to take any of this overly dramatic bullshit. When that piano music starts, it's like, DJ, you're growing up, things are going to get hard. You know what Red Foreman's going to do? He's going to be like, hey, dumbass, don't smoke or I'll put my foot in your ass. It's going to be funny. Anytime they try to have any of those stupid conversations that make Full House stupid, there's going to be Uncle Red going, you know what your problem is? You're a dumbass. This is stupid. Where's that dumb music coming from? Hey, Danny, you're an idiot. Stop doing this. It's going to make the show endlessly funny. Everyone points at all those stupid moments in Full House, and that's exactly what Red's going to do. And he can also organically fit into the show and be in it, because we all know the Tanners love to have like every one of their family members living in that house. So now we have Uncle Red, who's going to be there in every episode. He's not going to let that shit slide. It's going to be a funny show, and he's probably going to make the Tanners better people by the end. So it just is a win-win for everyone. See my
time. This is going to be a really interesting battle. But you've got 5 minutes on the clock. Time begins when someone starts talking.
Okay, Cody, you started off in saying that Ray would be, which, by the way, are you talking about Ray or Frank? Because those are two very separate characters.
Frank.
Okay.
Frank.
Okay, that affects my... Okay. You talked about he would be in the building or something, and he'd be a neighbor of Sheldon's. Why would they invite him over? If he's an old man who doesn't get technology, why would they want to talk to him? He does not organically fit into that show. Would you invite over someone who doesn't understand baseball to talk about baseball? No! Red Foreman, being a member of the Tanners, makes total sense. He could be from Wisconsin. He could be their family member who comes to move in with them because, like I said, everyone from the Tanners. And also, Frank isn't as funny if you don't have Marie with him. That was the comedic of that show, is Marie and Frank. That was funny. Frank on his own is just an asshole.
So, you know what would get really old? When he tells Michelle, Stephanie, and DJ Tanner that they're dumbasses and kicks them out of the room. Yeah, I want a 4-year-old to get yelled at by Red Foreman. It doesn't work in your show. If you want to improve your show, you picked the wrong season. You picked the wrong show. You should have added him to Fuller House, because that's a train wreck. Full House is actually a good show. And I'm sorry, you picked the absolute wrong one. You're saying that Ray Barone adding him to the character ruins that? It doesn't. Overall, it's the smart choice to put him in there, because in classic times in Big Bang Theory, they invite older generation people over to the house and they interact with him, and that's where the comedic element moments.
But the comedy can get so
Full House has literally kicked people out of the house. Danny, Jesse, and Uncle Joey both were asked to leave at some point of the house for doing something against Danny's rules, and then they come back in a dramatic.
No, they weren't. Actually, they never were. Throughout the 8 seasons, they were never asked. Right. The only person who ever left the house was Uncle Jesse. Left the house for one episode when he was going to move in with Aunt Becky, but then they decided to move.
They would ask him to
one
leave.
Episode, and then by the end of the episode, they moved back into that house. So that's why he been falters. Getting back on it, Frank is funny with Marie. The comedy in Everybody Loves Raymond is the fact that Marie and Frank should not be married. That's funny. It's funny when Marie is trying to cook and Frank is just like, this is going to be a shit meal. You want to take Marie away from Frank so that he can be like,
are you telling me that Red's wife is not the blue? That's literally...
Kitty is funny too, but they're not a comedian. It's not
together.
Hardy. They work together, but Red works on his own. There were so many episodes there were so many episodes where it wasn't just Kitty and Red, where it was Red interacting with Eric on his own, or interacting with Bob, or Donna, or whoever. It was very rare in Everybody Loves Raymond that Frank was not with Marie.
That's a wrong statement.
Very rare.
That's a wrong statement.
You're going to call Neil bullshit when you say completely fictitious things about Full House?
No, I'm saying that they set up plots it didn't go through, but you would ask Fred to leave the house after he calls the people dumbass. It wouldn't improve that show. It would
just hug them and be like, "We love you, Red."
It would ruin that show. It would ruin show adding Red Foreman into it, because that makes it not what the show is. That makes the show where it would get old after a while, because everything is the family plot and the working through together the family. You don't want a guy over there just calling every child a dumbass. It doesn't work in your show.
No,
Mine's at least adults and they could build.
No, it totally could. Your show,
Fuller House.
the
Fuller House.
comedy of Big Bang Theory is the fact that we have these genius scientists who are also nerds. That is the comedy of the show. The comedy
That
is them
work with old
doing the
people.
technobabble, and the old man that would just get old. You say their episodes. How many of those did they do? How many runs did they have where they had the old man in there? Why would that be funny? Why?
You think that many seasons with Frank will be that funny? It works because his son's a stoner. His son's a stoner, and he shows up. He's like, "What?" And he calling him a dumbass and giving him life lessons. That's the funny part of Frank.
Nope.
Yes,
What's funny is the fact that Eric is a kid who doesn't know what he's doing with his life, and his dad is kicking his ass.
So
exactly
DJ needs that, even though she's a straight A student. She needs a straight.
She does. I'm sorry, not just her. You have Jesse, who is this musician who is living in his brother's attic. When he has a wife and 2 kids, Red will be like, Jesse, get your shit together and move into your own place. Joey is this comedian.
So you're taking away great characters? He's just going to kick great characters out of the house that you like in
He's going to improve the lives of Jesse and Rebecca.
Because he'll be living by himself.
Already leave on their own. They leave on their own by the time you're talking
so
about
they don't need Frank. So they don't need Frank. Or they don't need Red. They don't need Red.
Look at how great that character is. You couldn't even remember what his name is.
Yeah, because I just worked the 12-hour shift. That's a little bit of a difference.
Everyone can be like, oh, Ray, Frank, old man.
Just because a character is introduced doesn't mean that character has to be in every episode. That's a mistake on your question. He doesn't have to be in every single episode. That's your problem.
Right. But now we get to the closings. There was definitely a hard-fought battle again, once again, and pretty much what I expected with these two. But got 1 minute closing still. So I'm going to start with Matt because Cody opened up this. So Matt, 1 minute is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
I think that Ray, Frank, Red, Barone, whatever his name is today, would not improve Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory, the comedy of Big Bang Theory was the fact that it was a bunch of nerds talking about technology. We don't need the old man in the building to try and make it funny. The thing about Full House, that show was built around family and all this stuff, and Red Foreman could fit right into that, except he would improve the show. He would make it funnier. He would improve the life of the characters. People would still be watching that show today, and they would laugh at it, because it would be hilarious when Michelle would be like, you got to do it, and be like, can you just stop saying that? You say that every episode. That would be funny. It would also organically work. I'm not saying he needs to be in every episode of the show. The episodes when Red does pop up, everyone would be like, oh, this is perfect. When Frank pops up, everyone would be like, oh, God, here's the old man that they need to explain technology to. Can we get back to the conversations about Superman or about astrophysics? The actual reason why we tune into the show, people would tune into Full House for Red. People would tune in for Red. They would not tune into Big Bang Theory.
Time. Cody, 1 minute is on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
He picked the wrong show because you want to improve something. The problem with Big Bang Theory is literally the show is stagnant because of that stuff. You want a character that's inside the building besides the hot blonde that lives next door. It would be an interesting dynamic. They're similar, but your problem is you're introducing a character that's very harsh and very rude into Full House, and that does not improve the show. That people love that show for what it is. You and adding Red Foreman to it just makes it too harsh and too intense. And there are kids and people of all families can watch that show. It's not going to be cute. It's not going to be funny. It's going to get quite old when you do that. The magic of Full House, you introduce it to Fuller House, that makes sense because that show's a train wreck and pretty bad. And you need something to liven up a reboot of it. But the original is beautiful what it is. Frank would literally, you say Marie, but there's literally moments that he has to talk to the sons all the time, and introducing him to that character while they're eating dinner would be a hilarious moment. You don't have him in every episode, but when he shows up, it'd be like, oh my gosh, because they did that, and those were the best episodes when
and
the older people showed up.
This is definitely a bit hard for battle. James, who do you think should get the point and why?
Oh man, yeah, this was a tough one because I think it went back and forth on a couple of points that were pretty solid. But I think that in the end, Cody had the stronger argument. I think that he really sold me that Big Bang Theory could be improved, whereas Full House, the kind of the crux behind the entire show would not fit with Red Foreman, and I think he kind of told me on that. So I'm going to go with Cody on this point.
Yeah, and I'll go next. Yeah, I'm going to go with Cody on this one too. Because, well, yeah, I do think that Matt did bring up some good points on his side, especially about how with Frank being the old man that keeps coming up for tech advice and them trying to screw up will get old very quickly. I think Cody had the strong argument that Full House doesn't necessarily need to need Red because it just wouldn't work for the dynamics of the show. So yeah, Cody does get the point on this one. So that brings us to question 3, and this one is a must need for Matt. The question is, what is the best TV show that was cancelled too soon? And I'm going to go to Matt first on the opening arguments. You've got 90 seconds on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
I think the best show to be canceled too soon is easily NBC's Timeless. The problem is that they canceled this before the show had time to really tell its story. They had to quickly rush a plot that was not ready to be told in just 2 seasons and end it. And although you could say it was good and I did enjoy the finale, you could just tell that there was so much more of an expansive story to tell than what they got to. The problem with Cody's show is the fact that it's actually perfect when it ended. I think that with Timeless there was way more that could be that could happen and that they wanted to tell than they got to in just the 2 seasons, and that's why Timeless is the best show to be canceled too soon.
Now, after that impassioned opening from Matt, we're going to go to Cody for his opening. You've got 9 seconds on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
Not a shocker that I played Matt Kearns, and one of the questions is what show got canceled too soon? What a shocker here. But I will battle it. I'm going with the best one that got canceled way too soon, and I'm going with Freaks and Geeks. Freaks and Geeks, the sad thing is, it was canceled too soon to realize what they had on what they had. It leaves on one of the worst cliffhangers in TV show history. She's a girl that's deciding, like, should she stay the straight and narrow, or should she be the student she wants to, or should she adapt like the party and be the kid that she wants to be? And she gets into a van and she goes to a rock concert, and we see nothing else. The show is canceled. You never get a finish. You never get to see a finale. It just ends. And it's canceled too soon because the show is brilliant. The show has so many comedic elements throughout the entire thing, and they had such rare talent at the beginning of their careers, and they just floundered it in 18 episodes. I don't think that's enough, and I'll talk about it more in the middle.
Right, so we've got 2 completely different shows, but this is going to be a really interesting battle. Got 5 minutes on the clock, and time begins when someone starts talking.
I think Freaks and Geeks is like a great John Hughes movie. It's like The Breakfast Club. Those 18 episodes is a great snapshot of these people, and it ends. You know what? What happens? You can decide on your own. You know, James Franco once said that one of the storylines they were going to do was that him and Lori, the main actress, they were going to wind up together. Okay, so cool. So that would have been 2 of the main guys she would have dated, and then would they break up, and then her and Seth Rogen would have got together? I'm really glad that we didn't have to sit through any of the romantic jargon. We got 18 great episodes, just a great snapshot of people living in the 80s, and then it ends like life, like Breakfast Club. You can just go, you know what? Whatever you come up with in your head, what happens next is interesting.
That's a stupid argument. That I'm not the filmmaker. I shouldn't have to decide. And you're telling me that another NBC sci-fi show got canceled? What a shocker. Limitless, Timeless. What does it matter? Yours is a sci-fi show that ran for 2 seasons and it didn't gain enough ground in 2 seasons, of course it's going to be gone. It didn't gain. There's a select few people that like Timeless and think it's good, but at the end of the day, there's a million NBC shows and a million just CBS and everything that try
There's a
these
million
concepts.
shows about young people living their lives.
Right. But the problem is they actually had a fantastic show and it ran for 18, and
If it
mine
was
left
so
on a cliffhanger.
fantastic,
Yours was
It
able.
was so
yours
fantastic.
was,
Why didn't only get one season, Cody?
yours was able to get a finale and close out the season.
Yours
The
didn't
problem.
need a finale.
Yes, it did. You can
No,
call
it
it John
didn't.
Hughes because you don't
What did you
like
want
that
to see?
type.
You wanted to see her graduate high school and
So
go
you
to
want to
college?
talk for the full 5 minutes, or can we go back and forth? Because that'd be
I'm
great.
sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, Cody.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish your
No, I'm
debate. Go
sorry.
ahead.
Please, Cody, go.
The whole viewpoint is you say it's a John Hughes, and I like to keep my imagination. No, I would like to see these characters actually fleshed out and actually put into the roles that I want to see. Just because you think, because James Franco came out and said something doesn't make it a thing. Yours is a sci-fi movie show or sci-fi show that just didn't gain the ground off, and there's a billion shows. If a show like that's going to work, it doesn't need to be on network TV because they never work on network TV. Firefly is considered one of the best seasons, and guess what? Network TV, gone. They don't gain the audience. It needs to be on something better, and yours just never gained that traction.
Okay,
It doesn't mean it's canceled too soon.
We're not arguing should Timeless have been on network TV or on Netflix. That's not the argument. The argument is was the best show to be canceled too soon. The fact of the matter is that Timeless had a story that was not supposed to be told in just 2 seasons, and then they had to rush and complete the show to try to give the fans something. And
did they get closure?
It didn't get its full potential. The thing about your show is yes, it ended before they ever said what was going to happen, which was going to be a burnout of the straight and narrow. But kind of that's the beautiful thing about the show now is you watch those 18 episodes and you just go, hey, that's life. You meet people and you hear some of their stories and they just leave, and then you don't tag them like a shark and find out what happened. You just go, hey. Have you ever been on vacation and you meet someone and you just get in a conversation about where their life is? And I don't tag them like a shark. It's just like, hey,
no,
happened to that kid?
That's completely different. That's completely different. You spend your time on a vacation with them. This is 18 episodes that you develop relationship with these characters, and you want to see where she goes, and it doesn't give you. Yours was able to at least rush up and get a show out and show you that it ended. Mine is still left in limbo, and I'm sorry, I'm not a creator. I don't like the idea that I get to make up the ending for them. I want them to tell me the ending, and the show is a beautiful it didn't get to grounded because it didn't catch on. It fired, and that's the problem why it's one of the best canceled too soon. Timeless is a sci-fi movie sci-fi TV show that actually got a finish, and we know how that ends, and it works for the fan because you even said the finale is good, so people like the finale. It wrapped it up.
It could have been better. And I think the thing about Freaks and Geese is that it ended up being better. You just talked about Boy Meets World went so crazy downward spiral. We didn't get that with Freaks and Geeks, and that could have happened. We've seen that with so many teen sitcoms where they start off really strong, and then by the end, they just
don't play could have.
With Freaks and Geeks. What could have? What? Okay.
Yours concluded. Mine didn't. I don't know what happens to Lindsay. I don't know what happens to her.
Not did it conclude or not. The argument is the fact that there was clearly a story in Timeless.
But you said canceled too soon. Canceled too soon means it was canceled. Yes, you say it didn't have enough time. The argument did enough. Is 2 seasons enough seasons? No, yours got enough time, and it showed me where it was going, and it finished, and people were satisfied how the show ended. Mine is still left. After all these years later, after 19 years, we're still not satisfied with how it ended. And
you're not satisfied. There are tons of people I know who watch Freaks and Geeks, and they end that and they don't go,
it's literally in top 10 worst.
Time.
It's in top 10.
There was a really impassioned battle there. And because Matt went first in the opening, Cody's going to go first on the closing. You've got 1 minute on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
Matt shot himself in the argument with saying people like the finale. That means the show wrapped. The show got to conclusions. Mine is literally still on top 10 worst cliffhanger moments because you don't know what ends up happening. And yes, you can write your script, but I'm not a producer. I want to see these characters fleshed out, and it could have went downhill. But guess what? We don't know that because we never got to see the conclusion because they did not know the end was coming. Yours knew the show was coming. They put enough time and effort into it to close it out where people were actually satisfied with the ending of the show, so they don't need a a third season. Mine is that we never got a second season or anything beyond 18 episodes, and people crave for the 18 episodes. It's not your type of genre, but yours is literally, they had the time, the energy, the effort, the money to put an episode out that actually satisfied fans, which doesn't mean it's canceled too soon. Yeah, you may be disappointed you didn't get a third season, but you at least got closure. Mine is still left up in the air, and that's not fair.
All right. Matt, you got moment on the clock. Wrap it up into a nice bow.
Yes, Freaks and Geeks does get left up in the air about what happens, but that's kind of the beauty of the show. It's kind of like how Breakfast Club ends, and we don't know what happened to those characters, and Breakfast Club is a beloved movie. No one complains that we never got a sequel to Breakfast Club. I think Freaks and Geeks, having only one season, ended up saving it because it never had those bad seasons that ruined it. The characters are fleshed out enough. It's a great snapshot of these people, these two groups, of the Freaks and the Geeks, living their lives in the 1980s. We get to see them, we get to have fun with them, and then after 18 episodes, what happened? Who knows? The problem is Timeless clearly had a show that needed to be way more expansive, that it couldn't tell in 2 seasons. And although fans do like the finale, they know that there was clearly storylines at the beginning of season 2 were pointing that it wasn't going to end at the end of season 2. With Freaks and Geeks, it just worked out better for everyone that we didn't have to get those bad seasons, that we get 18 amazing episodes. And yes, you could say it ends on a cliffhanger.
And Matt's argument ended on a cliffhanger in a way. But anyway, this is a tough battle, but I'm going to go first on this. Both people brought up good points on either side. I'm going to go slightly towards Matt on this, because I think when he brought up the whole Freaks and Geeks tie to things like John Hughes and all that, I thought that was an interesting analogy, and I think it did kind of help his argument a little bit. And I mean, like, Cody was bringing up the fact that, like, well, yes, fans of Timeless were satisfied with that ending and all that, but it was still one that, like, was cancelled. But yeah, and Matt did tackle that argument as well. So I'm going to go with Matt on this one, but that's why I'm not the only judge here. So I'm going to go to Doug. Doug, who gets your point and why?
Going over a few facts. Cody hit it with right in his opening that it's the worst cliffhanger of history. Matt hit it with that it was canceled before the completion of the story, that it had much more story to tell. Getting into the crux of the argument, Matt hit Freaks and Geeks with the fact that it was a great snapshot of life. It was beautiful the way that it ended, even though it ended with a cliffhanger. Cody hit him that it ran for 2 seasons, and that it got a finished, and people liked the finale. Where Cody hit his topic was that it was left in limbo. There wasn't a chance to fully flesh out these characters. I'm looking at my list, and I gotta say that I think Cody hit Matt a few different topics, especially with you got a closure. It got a finale that people actually genuinely liked. While you may not have appreciated it as much, it was genuinely liked by the public. Whereas his cliffhanger ending is literally one of the worst cliffhanger endings of all time per list that he's looked at. So Cody's going to get my point.
So, sorry, James, it comes down to you.
Yeah, this is another one of those that was a really well-fought battle. But I think I have to... I think I have to go with Kearns on this one. I think he was able to really hit home that it was able to not get closure that he wanted to get closure on with this series, and Cody's series kind of did get closure, and that kind of stuck with me a little bit more than any of any of the other points. So I'm going to say that Kearns gets this one.
But we are going to go to question number 4, and the question number 4 is a bit of a doozy. And the question is, what movie should be made into a TV series? And I'm going to go to Cody first on this one for the opening. We've got 90 seconds on the clock, and time begins when you start talking.
Sorry, I'm really taken back. I'm going with a movie that wasn't greatly received. Some people really like it for nostalgia effects, but what the source material could do and where it could go is brilliant, I think. And I'm going with Ready Player One. I think the Oasis is such an interesting idea, an interesting concept. You can pretty much go anywhere with it, and you can honestly tell the story of the original and then carry on beyond that, or you can start your own original tale of new people trying to infiltrate the Oasis and like the battle within the Oasis. I think this is not like a cable one. I think this is like HBO. I think I want to see HBO do this. I think they either limit it or carry on. Again, that's their choice. I would rather carry on because I think you could do so much with this world, because the Oasis is basically a big building block. You can go anywhere, you can do whatever you want, you can have what features in it. But even if you told the original story of what makes the book beautiful, I think would be awesome. Yeah, I'm going Ready Player One because I don't think they did it justice on the big screen, and I think this book needs to be fleshed out and spread apart, network TV or cable TV.
All right, Matt, it's your turn for your opening. You got 90 seconds on the clock. Time begins when you start talking.
I think that a great movie series that would benefit greatly from a TV series is the world of Blade Runner. The 2 Blade Runner films are beloved by a cult audience, but they don't do well on the big screen for whatever reason. Having an animated show in the style of Avatar: The Last Airbender, so that you could have this world be as expansive as possible, and you don't have to have the limitations of CGI, and you can tell it's a cop show. It can be a great cop show, and we have seen throughout history great cop shows. It doesn't have to follow Deckard. It can follow a new character, and the world of Blade Runner is so expansive. In the 2 films, we haven't even scraped the bottom of what this world offers, and doing it in an animated style. And I think this would be a series similar to Castlevania on Netflix, where it would be a couple of episodes every season, and you get to come into that world. And maybe every season there's a new mystery that they have to solve in the 8 episodes. Following the world of the robots and learning more about their history and getting more into that stuff that the films can't waste time on because they have a narrative they have to tell. With TV, you get to expand that. I think this is going to make Blade Runner just the series that it could be because of time. It just gives you so much more time, and doing it in an animated style, you get to expand the world. So doing a Netflix type series of Blade Runner, I think, is the best way to take this movie series.
Right, we go to the main round. You've got 5 minutes on the clock, and try not to talk over each other. I should have interjected last round with that.
That's my bad. I'm sorry, Cody.
Yeah. We're all friends here, so 5 minutes is on the clock. Time begins when someone starts talking.
I'm confused by your choice, and I guess I'm a huge fan of the other 2 Blade Runners, and I like the building of the world and where they're able to adapt. I think drawing it down to the smaller screen kind of ruins it, especially make it animated. I think that's a bold choice. I just don't like the idea, just because of what great effects they can bring to actual live action. But I think that story is better in like a condensed space. Yes, it doesn't hit with fan base, which is stupid to me, but I think it works better on the silver screen. I just think it's a beautiful thing. Where Ready Player One failed is they took the source material, they changed it up to make it 2 hours, and didn't tackle with the beauty of what that story is about. And I think put it on an HBO, put it on a Stars, put it on something that actually has money behind it that can run it for episode after episode. It would draw people in every time.
I just the reason why, because I too love the Blade Runner films, and I just think the problem is they're just a little bit too weird for normal audiences. Whereas audiences like Castlevania is a weird series as well, but the audience that is going to it loves it, and that's how these shows get popular. Because then you tell your friends it's easier to share around than a movie that runs at almost 3 hours. And the reason why I went animation is just because I think we haven't even seen, if you look at storyboards of what Ridley Scott wanted to do since 1982, you could just do so much more than you have now. I think the TV series just allows you to get more into that world. Actually, very similar to what you're saying you want to do with Ready Player One. But I think with Ready Player One, the world of the Oasis is also based very much on pop culture. And I think you run into that issue of being on TV is how willing is Warner Brothers and Paramount going to be and Lucasfilm going to be to give up their IPs to HBO. For a movie, maybe they'd be fine,
Well,
but a weekly series, I'm just not sure that they would do that. You can argue that that's on part, whereas Blade Runner is a completely original world that you can just
right.
expand with this series.
Well, I want to go with that one real quick because I'm not going to fight semantics on what the IP will be allowed. We're just got to choose the item, and that's where it goes. So I don't want to be docked on that. But my viewpoint is Blade Runner. Yeah, you're saying animated. Just because once people have storyboards and want to see something created, to catch on and to be able to do it is another thing. I like the gritty and I like the heart of Blade Runner, and I think you lose that as kind of an animated. Yes, you have the Castlevania fans that are big fans of it, but I want to go beyond that. And I think the magic of what Ready Player One can do is tackle on new characters, new people invading the Oasis inside the Oasis. You get that effect. But we're kind of pitching animated, but more like CGI for mine, I guess, and more like drawn, I guess, for yours. I'm not 100%, but like I think you lose a lot. And I think the beautiful thing about Blade Runner is the slow burn. And yes, you're saying that in a TV, but animated, I don't think slow burn works as well because people will get bored of it. And if it doesn't hook them right away, they're not going to be on bar with it. And that's the problem I face with Blade Runner being on a TV show because there's so much slow burn with Blade Runner.
But the problem is that this slow burn you talk about in the movies, people haven't gotten hooked. They tried once in 19 June, they tried again in 2017, didn't work. With TV, people are more welcome to slow burns. The series I really used as my basis for this was Avatar. Avatar does start slow, and it builds, and it opens the world. That way, by the time you get to the Battle of the North Pole, you're invested in those characters, you're invested in this world, and you understand what's going on. With Blade Runner, you really only have like 2.5 to 3 hours to really tell your story, and that's not enough time to get into the world, get into the replicas, and talk about stuff. And I think the great thing is that it doesn't have to follow Deckard, but Deckard could still show up. You can have Harrison Ford pop up for an episode and do one episode if you want, or you could completely ignore him because the problem is the movies have, particularly 2049, had to focus on Deckard, and the show doesn't have to be tied down to that.
So that's my viewpoint where you say slow burn works. I have numerous people, and it's been noted that Breaking Bad, one of the greatest TV shows ever, the first season's so slow that people don't grasp onto it and don't carry. And I'm like, oh, did you get to season 3? Because it's amazing. And that's where your Blade Runner is going to fall. I think it's going to. I think it's just too much of the burn that you think, and you're wanting to introduce Deckard or not introduce Deckard. I think true hard diehards will want Deckard in it, and you may be one of those fans that want something different. My only viewpoint is I don't think it builds because one of the main things of I think Blade Runner 2049 could almost be better than the original for me is just because of the insane world that they build around everything, and I felt so immersed in it because you're in that room watching it on a smaller screen with the lights on or changing anything. I think changes everything what beautiful Blade Runner is. And it doesn't carry that same magic over the amount of episodes I need it to because of what I love about Blade Runner. I think it ruins true fans. It gains more fans, but is that making it?
Damn it. Thank God for the closings.
Right. We had on to the closings. And you got 1 minute unless you want to use. You do both still have your extension if you want to use it. So speak now. Forever hold your peace.
Can I do my extension?
You may.
I'll add mine then too. Whatever.
Cody is going first on.
No, I opened.
That's right.
So I closed.
Yeah, Matt's going first on the closings. And you've got 2 minutes on the clock because you use your extension, so time begins when you start talking.
The slow burn you're talking about that people didn't get into Breaking Bad is going to be gone because, again, I went for a Netflix type show. I went for a binge culture show where you can have 8 episodes, maybe 40 minutes a piece, where you can get into immersion in the world. And if you want to watch 1 episode one night and then 5 episodes the next night, you can do that. And I think that the great thing what this show is going to do, not just visually, but also story-wise, is going to just expand the world of Blade Runner. The problem with Ready Player One is that your world's kind of really weird and it needs that story from the book to be focused. And I just don't think there's enough story to really last a show. I think with Blade Runner, the fact that if you don't tell a story with Deckard, you can just expand the world a lot more and tell stories. You can have multiple seasons. Ready Player One, I feel like yours is like a one and done season where you get maybe 10 episodes where you can really tell the book, and then that's it. With Blade Runner, there's just far more to do, and I think Avatar: The Last Airbender was the show that I used as a comparison because that show did a great thing of the first season introducing you into your world, you meet the characters, but then the later seasons just expand everything. That's exactly what Blade Runner is going to do. It's going to bring you into the world with those first 8 episodes, and then all that follows is going to be more interesting, learning about the replicas, learning why the replicas think they're human, and then also talking about the runners and the effect that their life has been pretty much slave capturers, and what effect that has on you mentally and physically, and the technology that you couldn't even scratch the surface of in the film because it was almost impossible to create CGI, but you could do in 2D animation. And my show would also bring back that beautiful art 2D animation that is getting lost in today's day and age, and we need more of. And Netflix, Hulu, whatever streaming service we want to do is the place where this show would live and be amazing, and would just make the world of Blade Runner better because it just hasn't connected with people on film for whatever reason. In TV, it could. In the binge culture, it could.
And that was perfectly on time.
Wow.
Cody, you've got 2 minutes on the clock. Wrap it up into a nice bow.
So I want to hit on something. He put it on Netflix in 40 minutes a piece and can watch whenever you want. But the problem is we live in such a binge culture. If it doesn't click you in the first couple episodes, you're not coming back to watch multiple episodes. And I think that's a huge problem with Blade Runner. Blade Runner hasn't grabbed the general audience, and I don't think it will grab it in this because it's going to be, one, a different animation. It's going to be an animated style. And two, it's not going to grab the general public because when you're scrolling through Netflix and you see an animated, you do not grasp it if you're not a fan of animated things. So you have to be word of mouth. And if not enough people watch it, you don't get the word of mouth. You're probably with mine, as you say, it's a one-off. I even said it could be a one-off. It could be a limited series. And one of the best things out there from a book is 11/22/63, which was a perfect one-season thing that was brilliant and used it perfectly. But the problem is they had so much source material of Ready Player One that they were not able to adapt it to a full arc and see the Oasis. But if we wanted to go beyond it, we definitely could, because the Oasis is immersive. It's expanding, and you can go anywhere and create anything, and there are other people trying to cause problem in the Oasis, which is a very interesting concept. You can bring the writer from the book onto the staff to create the episodes. He wrote it. I trust him to keep going. He wasn't a big fan of Ready Player One, the book, the movie. So I think that's a good answer. I just feel like you're missing if you make it animation, because yes, I think this is a Matt Kearns want, not a what TV needs. And you're wanting 2D animation because this is what it's dying, but what we need to see is actually an immersive world that we actually get to build in. And I want real characters, because that's what I love about Blade Runner. I don't need this thing that you just want because it's a fan fiction of yours, because that's just doesn't make the best TV. I want a TV show of the characters going through the world, not an animated thing to tell stories that Ridley Scott never got to.
Right. It's definitely a hard-fought battle with 2 intriguing propositions for movies that should be a TV show. I'm going to go to Doug first on this. Doug, who are you going to give your point to and why?
So this was a well-fought battle. And I hate doing this, picking things and being a judge. No, I'm just playing. So Matt unfortunately was so hard to defend Blade that he didn't do a lot of dinging on Ready Player One. The dingings that he did do was it's not enough story to last longer season, but Cody did hit him with in the very beginning that it could be a limited series. And then in his end argument, one of the best limited series was the Stephen King novel. Um, but Cody did hit a lot on why the series would work because they changed the source material to cram so much into a 2-hour movie. It has a building block for an expansive HBO limited series or even further series. Matt hit a lot with expanding the world, could put it on Netflix, building the structure. But Cody hit him a lot on if you don't catch someone's attention within the 1 or 2 episodes, they're not watching the series. And with a slow burn, it's hard to do that on Netflix. So yeah, Cody's got my point for this round.
Yeah, this is tough because both propositions that both Matt and Cody were, even though they were so polarly different, I want to see both of them made into a TV series. But yeah, Cody does get my point because it's nothing against Matt. He did paint a really good picture about Blade Runner and why that should be a TV series, but Cody then did counter it by bringing up the slow burn aspect. And I mean, I know Matt did touch on why Ready Player One wouldn't quite work, but he didn't say enough about why it wouldn't work. So my point does go to Cody as well. So if that Cody does get the point, and your winner, and moving on to the finals is Cody Newberry. I'm going to go to post-match interviews. I will start with our second placer because I do not want to say loser. So Matt, how do you feel about how your match went today?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to win. I did. This happened. Cody's a really great debater. I don't know. I tried to fight for all mine and it just didn't work. I guess it just happens sometimes. Like I said, I knew Cody was going to be tough. I knew I had an uphill battle. Did the best I could and just didn't work out this time. Even the Miracle on the Ice team lost against Russia the first time, so I guess this is just what it is. I'm glad I got to at least talk. I got to win the one round, so at least it wasn't a total blowout. So, but congrats to Cody and good luck to him in the finals.
Yeah. And the question is, will we see you again?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed. I wasn't really supposed to be in this, of course, because it was a total random selection. I'm glad I did. If you guys saw my fight with Jacoby, which I hope you did, I had a lot of fun in that. I had a really good time here too. I like debating more than trivia, so you probably will see me back in here because I love TV and I don't get to talk about it as much as I do film with Take Three. So this has been a really great to talk about a lot of shows that I love. And so if you guys would have me back, I would very much enjoy coming back.
I definitely will get you back. Because you are a great opponent. But anyway, let's go for our winner. Cody, how did you feel about how the match went today?
I was really nervous because Matt has beaten me before in late night. Yeah, it might have been Kurt Russell's mustache, but he still beat me. He kind of changes my debate style, which annoys the piss out of me because I have a plan and then Matt throws wild ass curveballs at me, and I'm like, okay, well, didn't fucking think about that. Okay. But no, like Matt's a fantastic debater. He's a really good guy, great friend in this community. Definitely be back. Definitely see him in the next title match for this belt, whoever it is, because he's that good. I honestly, Not shocked that Malcolm voted for the timeless question. What a shocker there. And sorry to James, it wasn't like I was taken back. I was confused by the wording. I think I understand why you gave him the point. I was just confused in the time. So it's nothing against James on that one. It was just, I was like, what? But yeah, this is a tough match. I hate debating anymore. I want to just like limit it to one area because I'm going to lose. And I like what I'm doing right now with my record. So I have too many pots in too many kitchens at this point, and I'm terrified. And I just got news today that I got to play somebody else in Battleground, which I don't know where this is dropping, so I can't say this, but I'm not happy about it. I wanted the other person because I've already knocked out a certain person. But besides that, I have to play a different person now, and it's going to be a battle on that one. And then I have nerd fights coming up and something else. So it's a bunch of BS right now, and y'all are stressing me out. Can't we just keep one fucking league? I don't have to do this all the time. But no, I'm excited. Thanks for having me. I don't know who I'm playing, but I think I might know who I'm playing. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but fuck me if that's the option.
Well, it hasn't been confirmed yet. You'll be playing either Jay Burns or Joe Harrison. Who do you want and who do you not want?
Okay. So do I answer for myself or do I answer for the general public? Because what people want to see is me versus Jay. What I don't want is me versus Jay. I don't want to give anybody what they want. Joe is too frantic-y, and I think I can throw him way off his game if we play, which would be fun. I'd appreciate it. But if Jay loses that, he has no, I will say this on camera, somebody clip this out. If you lose to Jay, you have no right of ever playing me. Ever. If you can't meet me in this, you couldn't meet me. Jay, you couldn't beat me in Movie Battleground because you pick outlandish choices. You couldn't meet me in Marvel because you couldn't answer a question correctly. And now if you can't win this TV fight against Joe, you have no right to ever show up to play me in debate again. You're just not that good. You're just all talk. That's all I will say to Jay Burns.
Cody, I love you, but you said Jay instead of Joe at the beginning.
Shit. Whoever. I have 12 hours of work. I didn't even know I was debating TV tonight, honestly. I thought this was Nerd Fights. No, listen. Whoever. Jay, Jim, Joe, blah, blue, James. Yeah, I said your name. I don't care who it is. Bring them on. Give me a week, and I will win. Sorry, that's really cocky, but I believe it. So let's go with it. Put it on the books.
Anyway, we'll go to the judges tonight. James, how did you feel about the match?
This was a lot of fun. It was down to the wire, like I kind of expected it to. But Cody came out on the upper end, and Cody is a great debater. We've seen it throughout the different leagues, so I'm looking forward to seeing what Cody keeps on doing, and hopefully I get a shot against him in the regular Battlegrounds matches, and we'll see what happens.
And Doug, how did you feel about how the whole match was?
This match was excruciating. It felt like I was, getting a full 12 rounds with Muhammad Ali. I enjoy watching these two debate because it was so fun. Did I like making the decisions? No. But no, definitely neither competitor. Well, obviously Cody shouldn't hold his head down. But Matt, you did a hell of a job. Literally, it was like that with every question because you just fought. Yep, but it was a good match.
Yeah, this was definitely a great match. But yeah, well, next week we'll see who Cody is facing once. Because by the time this goes up, this is the first of the semifinals that will be shown. But anyway, for Cody, for Matt, for James, and for Doug, we'll see you in late TV fights, and don't change that channel.